Welcome to Homeschool Art. Today we're going to be talking about mosaics and one of the artists that was famous for his mosaics. Pietro Cavallini, born in 1259 was an artist who lived and worked in Rome, Italy. Cavallini was a painter, but he was also a mosaic artist. Now we'll talk all about mosaics at the end of the video. But for now, mosaic basically means taking pebbles or little pieces of ceramic tile and making a picture out of them. Pietro Cavallini worked during the Middle Ages. So during this time, there was not a lot of reading and writing going on, and so not a lot of people have historical documentation about Pietro. Cavallini began decorating the exterior or the outside of the Basilica di San Paolo fuori le mura with a series of Byzantine-style mosaics. The Basilica di San Paolo is one of his most famous works. The art of mosaics has been around probably longer than any other art form except for the cave paintings where people put their handprints or painted really basic animal figures. But mosaics have been around for thousands of years. And they continue to find examples when they excavate cities hidden under rubble and behind closed doors, because mosaics were one of the most durable ways to create art. People, especially wealthy people, like to decorate their homes and make it really impressive for their neighbors and people to come over and look at the art on their walls. And so they would decorate their walls. Sometimes they decorate even their ceiling so they could lay in bed and look up and see beautiful mosaics and pictures. They would also decorate the outsides of buildings, which would make them even more durable to be able to withstand more rain and wind. As we find more and more of these ancient mosaics, we find that people crafted things that were important to them. Sometimes there were sporting events that were depicted. Sometimes there were religious stories and symbolism. There were also portraits of people and landscapes, things that they found beautiful and that were important to them. Artists anciently and artists today are very similar. We paint or create something that reminds us of things that we love or that are important to us. One of Pietro Cavallini's most famous works is The Last Judgment in the Church of Santa Cecilia in Trastevere in Rome, is considered one of Cavallini's masterworks. Pietro Cavallini worked in Roman naturalism. Cavallini's work influenced other people, other artists, in Italian cities such as Florence and Siena. There isn't a lot that we know about Pietro Cavallini, but we do know that he left behind some beautiful and brilliant works of art, where he depicted things that were important to him and the people around him at the time. Stories from the Bible, which would have been the most important literary work of the time. So few people knew how to read that when you went to church and a priest read to you, that's what you listened to. You listened to stories from the Bible. There were very few other works of literature available to people, and they couldn't even read it. Most of the people were illiterate. Because Pietro Cavallini was not greatly documented, I do not have quotes or inspiration from Pietro. But I will talk about what your next project is going to be, and I'm super excited. You go get construction paper, and then you get scissors, and you cut it into strips and then into little squares, like these. Then you have your mosaic tiles or tesserae. That is your vocabulary word for the day. Tesserae comes from the Italian word meaning cubes or dice. We just use poster board. You can use any paper you want. I would suggest a black or a white piece of paper. After we cut out all the pieces of paper and we laid them on the table, everyone chose something to depict that was important to them. One of my children really loves plants, and so they did a plant. One of mine really loves his window, so he did a little arched window. One of mine did a tortoise. So then you take a glue stick and you just start gluing. And I would suggest that you leave a little bit of room around each tesserae so that it looks like grout. And I'll explain about that later, but leave a little bit of space around each one so it kind of looks like a mosaic tile. And then you glue and glue and glue. And some people took a long time and some people did a very simple picture and it didn't take very long at all, but everyone had fun. So now I'm going to show you what we did. First, this here is the nativity scene. And you can see this is the stable. And we've got a Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus. And we have, look at these cute little wise men over here bringing their gifts. And then we have some shepherds. And here's a little bitty sheep. And up here is the star. I love it. It's so fun. This one right here is a little succulent bud. Little teeny bud. And I think it's adorable. This one is amazing because it is something that's important to my son, and he will have a fun time putting that on his wall. This one is the little rounded windows, and he wanted lots of little rounded windows, so he made more. And I think it's super fun. Look at all of the cool colors and shapes. It doesn't even matter if it looks like a window or not. It still is a beautiful work of art. This one here is the tortoise, and it looks adorable, and it is here eating a little cactus leaf. One thing I will show you is that many times art looks different close up rather than further away. So if I made this super close up, it's kind of hard to know what it is. But the further back I hold it, the easier it is to read exactly what it is, that it's a tortoise with little legs and a tail, and he's eating something. So when you go to a gallery, sometimes you get up close to the painting, never touching, or the art museum, don't touch. You can get up close to the painting and look, and then you can step way further back and then see a totally different view of it. This last one is mine, and I chose to do the full board. I thought it turned out fun. Some of it reads a little differently than I was anticipating. Here's a sunrise and an important building, a sacred building for me. And then there's a mountain in the distance and one a little like a hill closer up. It took a little while, but we all had a lot of fun. Art terms of the day, we're gonna talk about mosaic terms, so you can understand what people are talking about when they are looking at mosaics. First, a cartoon is the full-size drawing that your mosaic is based off of. Some people will go and on the board that they're about ready to glue their tiles onto, they do a drawing first. So they know this is gonna be the shape of the turtle, and this over here is gonna be a plant, and this is the cactus leaf that it's eating. So they'll draw a picture first, and then they'll start putting their tiles on. That is called a cartoon. Next is the cement or the binder or the adhesive. Whatever it is that glues the tiles on the board or on the wall or wherever you're putting your mosaic. Next is a ceramic mosaic tile. Today, we just use paper, and I think it's awesome. And it's okay if they're wonky shapes. They don't have to be perfect little squares, and I think that's great. Many times people will have a specific little cutter that will cut the pieces of the tile smaller so that they can add little details. The next is a cutting. Cutting is the process where a small stone is cut into the tesserae, into the little pieces to be used for a mosaic. Gold smalty is a thin layer of gold smashed between two layers of transparent glass, and it's very expensive. The next one is grout. It's the fluid mixture, usually of lime or cement, fine sand, marble dust, and water, used to fill in the spaces around the tiles. That's why we left some white spaces around each little tile so that it would kind of look like grout. Interstices or joint are the spaces between each tesserae. Thank you so much for visiting Homeschool Art. Please ring the bell and press like. Bye.